Friday, everyone. Woo! Friday. With that, let's start in a nice, comfortable seated spot or lying on your backs. So give yourself a few moments just to wiggle around and find a shape that feels pretty darn good. Can have your eyes open or closed. As I look around the room, this is really great. There is like a huge gap in the middle of the room. There's a few people in the shade and everyone like over as many people as possible in the sun. And I'm practicing trying not to be jealous because I don't get to be in the sun. This room is so beautiful right now. So the lake is beautiful. So, and the sun is great. So, as you settle, give yourself a moment to feel the ground, the floor. You can put your hands down on the ground if you want and just really feel and connect to that strength and stability of the ground. And then with a couple of breaths, just allowing your body to ease in and also feel that support. We spend so much of our time, our day, holding ourselves up against gravity. Just giving yourself a moment to feel gravity help connect you downward, anchor you down. If you're sitting, feeling those two sit bones really anchor with your thigh bones. If you're on your back, feeling your back body. And then holding your body intentionally still. And then dropping into your breath. So you are controlling your body in one sense, not really moving it. And then you can feel what you can't control as you breathe. It's a really nice practice. Noticing what you can control here. And then as you're breathing, notice what you don't control and just happens. You might notice the rise and fall of the breath down in your lower belly area. You might notice the breath a little higher up in your rib cage, up into your upper rib cage, armpits, collarbones. You might notice the breath more in your back body, through the back shoulder blades, rib cage, kidneys, even down into the low back. Each one of us is really different and unique. Remembering that we each have agency over our practice. So if something doesn't feel comfortable, we don't have to do it. And each one of us feels and notices something different as we hold the body still and take about 5 more breaths. And following your breath all the way through your inhale. Nice long exhale. And then as you notice your next couple of breaths, bringing your awareness back, just noticing what you notice. And then letting your knees bend if they haven't. If you're already sitting, hang out. If you're on your back, roll on over and come on up to sitting. If you're at home and you have a blanket or a pillow, you can sit up on a blanket or a pillow if you have tight hips. If you're in the room, we're going to find crisscross applesauce. If you're at home, you can use a chair. If crisscross applesauce is really uncomfortable, your knees are really high, and this is just not happening for you in your hip creases here, just bring your feet out in front. That's just fine. Okay. We're going to work on twisting today. So we're just going to go over a little bit of a healthy twist, just break it down a little bit into the fundamentals. So find your belly button and go from your belly button down to your pubic bone. And that's your front lumbar spine. Okay, so in the back here is your lumbar spine. And your lumbar low back doesn't like a whole lot of twisting. So we come back over and over in this class when I talk about like corset cummerbund. So we're going to imagine too, we have that nice strong corset cummerbund on. Okay, so give yourself a couple exhales. When you exhale, see if you can feel your corset cummerbund get a little tighter, like you have that hug. You can soften your shoulders, right? Hold yourself up a little more from your pelvis and your lower abdominals, less from your shoulders. So corset cummerbund in your awareness is going to help support that lower lumbar area and that lower deep belly. So when we twist, let's find your rib cage. We're just going to go out on our own here. You're just going to try and move your rib cage side to side, right to left, without moving your belly button too much. Your belly button might move a little bit, but we're not taking the pelvic crest. You're not taking your hip bones around. Try to keep your hip bones facing forward. Keep those two sit bones nice and heavy. So as you go side to side, the weight stays pretty equal in your sit bones. So if you rock side to side, you'll feel those are those two butt bones helping anchor you. All right, now come back to center for a moment. When we're really tight through the rib cage or we're really tight in the hips, it's really easy to push your chest forward like this, right? And crank on your mid back area. So again, another theme throughout this class is to drop your ribs. So we're going to try and take your ribs, lower ribs, drop the ribs so they stack more over your pelvic crest. Sometimes I call this knitting the ribs. Comes back to that corset cummerbund. Okay, so now as you twist right to left, pay attention to your lower ribs stacking over your pelvic crests. Your rib cage goes side to side. And we're trying to keep more space and length in this space in your back where your thoracic spine comes down into your lumbar spine. So back here where your kidneys live, we're trying to keep this nice and wide and also really nice and long. One more twist to each side. And then when you coast back to the front, we're going to take your feet out in front of you. Okay, so keep your toes down. So bring your big toe down on the floor. Bring your hands behind your legs. We're going to use the legs. We're going to wake up the upper back a little bit. Okay, so you're going to sit back on your sit bones. Pull your navel back. Give your low back a little bit of rounding. Sit back as far as you can comfortably without over gripping, without pulling your shoulders way up, without tightening too much in your hip creases. When I say too much, you'll know what too much is. And then use the back of your arms to pull you up. And do a couple more. So using the back of your arms, so upper back to triceps. And you pull yourself up, push into your toes. Try to keep your toes down and heavy. We'll do two more. Next time you sit back, find just the right amount of challenge. So you're going to sit back and we're going to hold it here. Let your shoulders just naturally draw down out of your ears, and then take your arms out in front of you. Take a couple breaths, make sure you're not holding your breath. Then when you come up, you're going to twist to the right. You're going to come up, pull your right elbow back, look over your right elbow, bring your right arm forward, and sit back. Pull yourself up, draw your left elbow back, look over your left elbow. You go at your own pace. If you need a little help, bring your hands on the back of your legs. We're all really different, so make sure that as you're moving, it's comfortable. It shouldn't hurt in your low back. Shouldn't hurt in your shoulders or your neck or your jaw. One more to the right and one more to the left. Try to keep that belly button facing forward as your ribs rotate. And then after this one, we'll just come on up, put our hands on our shins, round our backs, look into our bellies or look down at the floor. And we'll take a 3-breath break, bringing your awareness back into your body as it breathes. Can you just feel the ground? Feel your breath. And then come back on up to sitting. So you might keep your legs out in front of you. You might come back to crisscross applesauce. A little more challenging. Remember the ribs staying down and in, knit your ribs. Okay, so corset cummerbund awareness. This time your hands are going to come behind your head. Okay, now when we're really tight through the shoulders, tight through these ribs, it's really easy again to push that rib cage forward and compress this part of our spine. So exhale, ribs draw down, ribs draw back. You're trying to create and keep length through those mid-back vertebrae, twisting to the right at your own pace all the way over to the left. 2 more. Keep your ribs down and in, corset cummerbund in your awareness. In your breathing, can you feel your rib cage moving? Rib cage revolves. Next time you're back to center, pause. And then we're going to bring your arms down. Right arm comes down to the floor. Left arm sweeps up, side bend. Okay, check in with your left sit bone. Keep your left sit bone really heavy. If you want a little more challenge, slide your right arm out a little bit. Pull yourself back up. Left arm comes down. Palm faces in. Anchor into that right sit bone. Slide your left arm out if you want a little deeper challenge. 2 more to each side on your own. Lifting up through that left side. Over to the left. Great. 1 more on each side. How's it feel over there in the sunshine, everyone? Just keep telling me because I don't get to be there. I got to live through you right now. Back to the center. Nice. Sweep your arms up. Corset cummerbund awareness. Okay, right arm's going to come back. We're going to twist over to the right. Feel those sit bones anchor. Notice where your belly button is. Okay, take your left hip crease. If you need to, take your left hand into your left hip crease and draw that left hip crease back. As the ribs go around, so find your left side rib cage, left side ribs go around to the right. If you go south into your hip crease draws back. soft shoulders, all the way around to the left. Right side rib cage comes around to the left. Right hip crease draws back. So right ribs are coming around to the left. Corset cummerbund strength, right hip crease draws back. And then back to the center. Hands can just come down on your thighs, come to the floor. You can have crisscross applesauce or your legs out in front. We're going to take 5 breaths. So back to body, nice controlled stillness. Then take a moment to follow your breath. Maybe soften through your face, through the roof of the mouth. Soft tongue, soft neck, throat, soft chest. With your next exhale, we have to figure out how to come all the way on up to standing. So you'll figure that part out. Whew. And we'll take a wide stride. It's pretty predictable. We always take a wide stride. And what do? Sumos. Wake up your ankles, knees, hips. So heels in, toes out. Lift your spine. Try to keep your chest up. And then we're just going to go up and down on our own 5 times. Down and up in those sumo poses, just to feel your ankles and knees and hips. Great. Last one, come on up. And then as you come up, just give your knees and your ankles just a little bit of flexion so you can really sink into the strength and anchoring of the lower body here. So feeling those feet and legs really connected and strong, like no one could push you over. Okay. Now feel your hips. So you might even take your hands onto your hip bones. Lift the front of the hip bones up. All right, hands come behind your head. Really slowly, okay? Twist to the right. Now you're taking your left side rib cage around to the right, but not your hip bones. Hip bones stay facing forward. Go around to the left. Go slow because you're isolating those hips. You're keeping your hips facing forward and just working on trying to get rotation in your ribs. Stabilize. Mobilize. One more to the right, one more to the left. So about 3 total. If you're going a little bit faster, fabulous. You'll just get a few more in. All right, come back to center, straighten your legs, bring your hands to your hips. Great, left heel lifts. You're gonna rotate your left leg in, your right leg out and go heel to heel. Lift the front of your hip bones. Exhale, bend your right knee. Inhale, straighten, 2 more. From your breathing. So many sessions back, we talked about internal resistance. So you can add internal resistance, imagining your legs way more. Imagine your legs are like therabands or you had weight. Next time your right knee's bent, pause. Just bring your fingertips up to your sternum heart space. Gentle hands. Give yourself 2 breaths. And then straighten your right leg with resistance all the way over. Right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. Hands come back to your front hip bones. Lift these front hip bones up with resistance, bending and straightening. So when we add internal resistance, it helps us stay in our bodies. It benefits our joints. Next time your left knee bends, pause. Lift the front of your hips, bring your fingertips together, an opportunity to soften your face, your throat. Let your shoulders rest out of your ears, 2 breaths. Straighten your left leg. Come back around. So toes face forward, hands back on your hips. Little bends in your knees. Stabilize strong legs. No one could push you over. Hands come behind your head. Twist your ribs to the right, but not your pelvis. Feel the difference. There's your pelvis, there's your ribs. Twist your ribs to the left. 2 more to each side. Can you move without moving your hip bones? Without a whole lot of movement in your low back or your belly. Okay? Deep core, low belly, low back strength. All right, back to the center when you're there. Straighten your legs. All right, we're going to do a sumo squat. Then you're going to come up. You're going to lift your left leg and you're going to come all the way around to like a high lunge. Right knee bends. You're going to straighten your right leg. Come back around, do a sumo. Okay, lift your right heel. Go around to the left. So there's an element of movement and balance here. You're doing sumo all the way to high lunge. So your back heel lifts, you take your pelvis all the way around. Come back to sumo. If you're in the room and you need guidance, I'm doing this one with you. If you take your whole pelvis around, lift that back heel. Do a little lunge, bend. Come back around. Okay, so there's rotation in your pelvis. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? It's like, oh, I got this movement pattern now. The first time felt a little weird. Let's do one more to the right and one more to the left. Now this pelvis come all the way around. And when you get back to the center front part, pause. Great, step your feet together. If you're in the room, a nice opportunity to look out at the sun, look at the lake. Come back into your body. See if you can follow 3 breaths. Exhale, sweep your arms out and up. Inhale, press those hip creases back, long forward fold. Exhale, come all the way back up. Inhale, right away, push your hip creases back, fold forward. Exhale, come on up. One more time, fold forward. All the way back up. Arms come down by your sides. Take a breath. Step your feet wide. Left leg rolls in, right leg rolls out, heel to heel. Lift the front of your hip bones up. Inhale, let your right knee bend. Great, exhale, tip at your hip, right elbow comes to the right thigh bone. So a little bit different. Find your left hand and bring your left hand around the front of your belly onto your right ribs. So those bottom ribs right there. You're going to use your hand to guide those right ribs into a twist. You're going to take your right rib cage, okay, and sweep it up, and then take your left arm up to the ceiling. A little bit of a twist. Little more challenging, let your right knee bend. 3 breaths. Keep your legs right where they are. Come all the way on up. Take your arms up, straighten your right leg. Bring your legs around to the front, hands to your hips. 3 breaths. All right. Right hand's going to come on your left rib cage. All right. Don't move your pelvis. So get really strong in the legs. So here's what we're doing in side angle. You're going to take this left rib cage with your arm and just guide it over to the right. See how your left ribs spin to the right, not your hips. I took my hip. And then bring your rib cage back around. Bring your right arm down, left hand on the right side ribs. Strong legs, strong pelvis. Take that left hand, guide the ribs around to the left. Come back around. Hands on your hips. Right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. Bend your left knee. Pause to lift the front of your hip bones. Get nice and long in the front hips before you tip. Then we tip. Right hand comes underneath to the left ribs. Guide the left ribs towards the right. Then the right arm reaches up. You high five. So your palms facing forward. Palms facing the same direction as your face. 3 breaths. Don't move your legs. Warrior 2, come on up. Now straighten your left leg, reach up to the ceiling. Right leg rolls all the way out, left leg rolls in. Bend your right knee, warrior 2. Soft shoulders, soft jaw, pause. Tip at your hip. Take your left hand on your right ribs. Guide your right rib. So the bottom rib cage, you're guiding it around towards the ceiling, helping those ribs soften to twist. Add on this time. Are you pushing your rib cage forward? Remember the piece of corset cummerbund? So as your left arm maybe reaches up towards the ceiling, did you push your chest forward? Keeping that width and length through your mid-back, 2 breaths. Don't move your legs, just lift your hips, warrior 2. Straighten your right leg, arms come up. Right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. Build your warrior 2. Take your time. It's a nice way to practice patience. Okay, tip at your hip, right hand comes around underneath those left ribs. So help guide those ribs up towards the ceiling or round to the right. Just like your seated twist, you're just sideways. Right arm comes up. Notice if you're pushing your chest forward or hiking your shoulders up, maybe stressing out in the roof of the mouth. 2 breaths. Don't move your legs, warrior 2, come on up. Straighten your legs. High 5 stretch, both legs come around, step your feet together. If you're in the room, feel free to look out at the lake, soften, breathe, 5 breaths. Again, you're just controlling, intentionally trying to hold your body still. And then pick a place anywhere in your body you pick and see if you can just feel and pay attention to 2 breaths. Full exhale. All right, then we're going to turn to face the back of the front of your mat. Let's go up to the front. Now, if you're in the room and you want to adjust your mat to look out at the lake, this would be a good time to do that. You don't have to look at me. I know y'all know your right and your left. We're going to do some lunge twists. Okay? So the lake is maybe a better view than me. I don't know though, but I would go for the lake and the sun. But you might need sunglasses. Woo! All right, so standing mountain. We're going to exhale, sweep your arms out and up. Push your hip creases back, fold forward. Shouldn't hurt your low back, so go slow. Bend your knees as much as you need. Use a table, use a chair if you're at home. And then you're going to step your left foot all the way back. Now, it's really easy to just let your rib cage and your chest get kind of sloppy and heavy on your right thigh bone. So imagine you're doing a plank pose here. If you were in plank, your shoulder blades would be strong on your back. Your corset cummerbund would be really strong. Okay? Strong corset cummerbund. Right hand's going to come to your right hip. Left ribs are going to twist to the right, and you're going to look over your right side and twist to the right. Lunge twist. Now pull your right butt cheek back. See if you can get a little more space in your right hip there. Exhale, come back to the floor. You're going to step your back foot forward, but really load your right leg. So you have to work at it. You load that right leg so it feels a little stronger, and then you come all the way on up. Do a great big good morning high five stretch. Push your hip creases back, fold forward. Right leg steps back. Like you were in plank pose, get your shoulder blades on your back, get your corset cummerbund on. Great, left hand comes to your left hip. Right side ribs spin to the left. And then you pull your left butt cheek back. 3 breaths. Back to the floor. Load your left leg. Float your right leg forward. You can define float. Exhale, come on up. Do a great big good morning high five stretch. And let your arms come down, 3 breaths. Left leg's going to step back. You're going to build a high lunge now. So you step that right foot back, take as much time as you need. If you need a wall, if you need a pillar in the room, go by a wall, go by a pillar. If you're at home, you need a chair, grab it. Lift the front of your hip bones up. Find your corset cummerbund. Get your shoulder blades on your back. We're not going to go into great detail how to do that. We've done that in other classes, but feeling those shoulder blades nice and snug. Fingertips come together. Keep that back left leg pressing back and just bend and straighten your right knee 3 times. Keep breathing. Front of the hips stay lifted. It's okay if you're wobbling. Next time your right knee bends, you're going to pause. Now, if you're right here, this is where you want to stop. You're going to stop right here. If you want something a little different, we're going to add a twist. You're going to bring your palms together. Right? Your right hand's going to come on your left ribs, and you're going to guide your left ribs around to the right. And then that right arm's going to come back behind you. Maybe your left arm comes out in front of you. 3 breaths. Swing your right arm all the way out front. Sweep it up to the ceiling. High lunge. Exhale, fold forward, step back, downward facing dog. All right, we haven't even done down dog yet. So Pedal out your feet if you need to. Bend your knees, pull your hip creases back. 3 breaths. And then exhale, walk your feet up 1 step. Walk your hands back 1 step. Get nice and strong through your low belly, low back. Come all the way on up. Good morning, high 5 stretch. Hands down by your side, 3 breaths. Turn on, connect to your corset cummerbund, and step your right foot back. So when we come to balance, we need that awareness of corset cummerbund. We need the awareness of the upper back. Soft gaze. Fingertips can come together. Right thigh bone pushes back, and then 3 bends and straightens with that front left knee. You're bending and straightening. Wobbling is just fine. That's your body's way of finding itself in space. We balance and counterbalance. Hey, next time your left knee's bent, pause. Maybe you stay right here. All of us, before we twist, check in. Are you pushing those low ribs forward? And you come back and feel low ribs, a little more stacked on your pelvic crests. Then that right hand can take those left ribs, or right ribs, sorry, left hand comes to the right ribs, and we twist to the left. Right? So your right hand comes and just helps guide those ribs around. And then that left arm can sweep back. And that right arm can come out in front. Strong corset cummerbund. Left arm sweeps out in front of you. Maybe arms come up to the ceiling. High lunge. Fold forward, nice and slow. Try not to fall. Control, and then step back. Downward facing dog. Bend your knees, bring your hip creases way back. Great. One time here, come down to your tabletop. Claw the floor, strong fingers. Okay, now if you could, you would pull your mat back. So you could even practice that. Can you pull your mat on the carpet back? Right, when you pull your mat back, feel how your arm bones draw into your sockets, into your shoulder sockets. Let's do it one more time. Pull your mat back. Arm bones draw deep in the socket. Socket, not shocket, socket, in your socket. All right. So you want your arm bone to be really strong there. You're going to keep that pull back and then take your chest forward and up dog. Maybe you come on the tops of your feet and lift your knees, maybe. But keep your arm bones pulling back, like you're pulling your chest forward to lift up. And then back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Woo. To tabletop. 2 cat-cows. So rounding into your cat. Moving through your cat to neutral into your cow. You pick a pace where you can have a relationship between noticing and keeping control. Noticing, feeling with control. After those 2 cat-cows, your choice. If you need something a little more vigorous, take a plank pose, maybe do some push-ups. A little more restorative, press your bum back, come to child's pose or roll onto your back. So we're going to take about 30 seconds to either rest or do plank. You could do elbow plank, forearm plank. You could do push-ups. So for those of you who want something a little more You got it. You do it. Wherever you are, I hope you're breathing. And then exhale, coming down. And then we'll come back and find a nice, comfortable, easy sitting shape. So sitting in crisscross applesauce, or your legs out in front of you, or if you're at home in a chair. Refind your belly button. Refine your pubic bone. Deep low corset, cummerbund. Twist to the right. All the way, twist to the left. All right, back to center. Take your legs out in front of you. Now, you do not have to have super straight legs. You can have a little bend, okay? If you're at home, you could put like a blanket or a foam roller or a block underneath your legs. We just want to be mindful that if we're falling back like this, right? So here's the top of the sit bones. If you're falling back, right, that you keep that strength of cat on. You keep that corset cummerbund in your awareness. You don't want to just fall back into these low back muscles, okay? So you're sitting up and you're going to take your right leg and cross it over your left knee. Okay, so the trick is that your foot can be pretty far out. It doesn't have to be way up. It can be right by your knee. It can be down by your shin, okay? You want to try and get your right big toe down on the floor. So whatever angle you're at is yours. It's fine. We're trying to keep that right big toe down and your right butt cheek sit bone down, okay? And then we're just going to lift the spine and twist around to the right. Give yourself 3 breaths. And then don't move your legs, just come back around to the front and take your arms up. Okay, you're going to squeeze your right knee towards your left armpit. So you just pull your right knee kind of towards your armpit to get the stretch through the outer right leg. Okay, I don't know if everyone can see me, but you're just trying to get that right knee towards your armpit, and then you're going to twist around again to the right. Remember, you try to keep your belly button facing forward. Take your left hip crease. That's the straight leg hip crease, and drop back. And take your left rib cage around. 3 breaths. And then come all the way back around and switch legs. So left leg comes down, push into that left big toe, twist to the left. Come back around, take your arms up. Left knee pulls in and kind of up towards your right armpit spins around to the left. So you get a nice twist and also some stretch through that outer left side of the leg. 3 breaths. And all the way back to center, both legs out in front. Okay, you can keep your knees really bent if you want. You're going to tip your hips forward, pull your navel in and up, find cat pose, grab what's available. So big cat, sitting cat, strong sitting cat. Pull that navel back, 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 round that low back, round that mid back. 3 breaths through your back. Check in. Does it hurt your low back? Do you need to adjust or move? Okay, now keep your low back right there and just lift your chest and just lift your chin and look out over the top of your toes like your upper back. We're in baby cobra or cow. 3 breaths. Exhale, sit all the way on up, bend your knees, use your hands, and then walk yourself all the way down onto your back. When you get down there, give yourself a moment. Take your feet, okay, knees stay bent. Take your feet wide and just nice and slowly windshield wiper your legs. So arms can come out like T's on the floor, and you're just going to let your knees drop to the right and the left a few times. And then we always take the last few moments of class for self-care. You could stay right here doing some windshield wipers with your legs. You could draw your knees up in towards your armpits, rounding your low back, giving it a gentle stretch. You could take Shavasana, put a hand on your heart, a hand on your lower belly. Maybe you're a meditator and you want to come up and just hang out for a couple minutes and meditate. Each one of us has a place to go as we cool down and reconnect to the earth, reconnect to our bodies, and reconnect to our breath. Take the next few moments here in silence. I'm just noticing what you notice. Take 2 inhales with nice long exhales. And then just slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You might take a full body stretch here or draw your knees in. And then just nice and slowly rolling over and coming on up to sitting. And then when you get on up, why don't you just take your arms up and give everyone a big high five for showing up and taking class today. Thanks everybody for being part of our community. It's great to see you all. Happy Friday. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thank you. See you Tuesday.